A school field trip turns deadly when a 6-year-old goes missing.
We need you. There's a girl drowning in the pool. Carlson Farm Drug Mart.
A Georgia police chief caught playing favorites.
Yes, sir. I got it pulled up.
All right, they won't worry.
And a new hacking technique could take a swipe at your budget. When systems fail, people pay the price. We trace the damage, expose the truth, and fight to fix it. This is Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates.
6-year-old Victoria King disappeared while on a school field trip.
When she was discovered in a pool, there was no AED equipment to save her. The closest hospital refused her. We investigate what happened in the hour and 24 minutes it took to get her to an ER.
Now at 5, we've learned a little girl from Paulding County who died during a field trip was only 6 years old.
Officials say she was found unresponsive in a swimming pool.
Our McGarity community will come together with compassion and care as we remember our classmate.
Victoria King was kind, joyful, and brought light to everyone that knew her. When the 6-year-old left home for the McGarity Elementary School field trip October 8th, her parents expected her to come back. She never did, and her family never got answers until now. An Atlanta News First investigation documenting Victoria's last moments.
We need you. There's a girl drowning in the pool. Carlson Farm Drug Mart. We need immediate help.
What's going on?
She's been in the pool for a while. We couldn't find her. It was a field trip.
Okay, so you guys lost a child?
Yeah, they just lost. We just found her in the pool.
You found her in the pool. Is she breathing?
Is she breathing? No, we're doing CPR.
There were at least 2 other 911 calls.
Their resident's going to be at the house by the pool, White House. And they are doing CPR on the child. They're unsure how long she was in the pool.
School staff unsure of how long she was in the pool because they didn't know how long she'd been missing. Bystanders continued CPR. Well, what they needed was an automated external defibrillator, or AED, a medical device that delivers electric shock to restore normal heartbeats.
Sir, do you have an AED? No?
Okay, my officers should be pulling up.
You have an AED? What?
The ambulance is 1 minute away, okay? But my officers should be pulling up. Are the officers there yet, or?
The officers are here, but no one has an AED.
You said no one has a what?
No one has an automatic external defibrillator. No one has one here.
Okay. The ambulance is 1 minute away, so they should be there shortly, okay?
Can we check if the buses have an AED? Do the buses have one?
There was no AED. Not in the police car that just arrived, not at the field trip location Carlton Farms, not even on the Paulding County school bus. Atlanta News First Investigates found new state law required all Georgia public schools to have at least one AED on campus no later than July 1st, 2025, also mandating it at any school-related function. But the state legislation does not explicitly state if this includes off-campus field trips. McGarity Elementary does have an emergency action plan for the use of AEDs at school, but the plan does not mention whether the device should be present on field trips as well.
Somebody force on the scene.
At 12:22, 6 minutes after the first 911 call, the ambulance arrives on scene. It didn't leave for the hospital until 12:47. That's 25 minutes later.
Do we have a destination for EMS?
They're not in the pool.
Crews were headed to Atrium Health Polk Medical Center, 11.8 miles away, about an 18-minute drive. It was the closest hospital. But while they were on the way, county EMS logs show the hospital asked the crew not to come, saying they were not equipped to handle pediatric, only one doctor. Internal dispatch transmissions confirmed the dilemma too.
Polk is wondering if you can reroute to Rome. They're advising they're not equipped to handle pediatric.
Are they not equipped to handle a cardiac arrest?
Stand by.
Don't even worry about it. We'll go to a hospital in Rome. Thank you.
Rome, Floyd County, where the next closest facility was Atrium Health Floyd, 31 minutes from the farm where Victoria drowned, even further away from the first hospital. When all was said and done, from the first 911 call to ambulance arrival at the Rome Floyd County Hospital, 1 hour, 24 minutes passed. Victoria ultimately passed too. This hospital rerouting is known as diversion.
What is diversion?
Well, in a nutshell, hospitals get overwhelmed.
Dr. Cecil Bennett studies diversion across the state as a member of Georgia's Board of Healthcare workforce.
It's very easy to get to a point where the system is just stressed, where the hospital can no longer safely take a patient. And now they're diverted to another hospital, which causes, a delay in treatment, causes increased complication possibilities, and in a worst case scenario, death of that patient.
Doctor staffing shortages and wall time are factors in diversion. Wall time is the period between an ambulance arriving with its patient and having to wait on the wall or in the hallway for the hospital to officially accept the patient. If a hospital has spiked wall times, they may divert other incoming ambulances to other facilities. On the day paramedics were trying to get Victoria to Atrium Polk, the closest hospital, it's unclear if the hospital's wall time was high. State documents show that in October, Atrium Polk was able to accept the majority of its ambulance patients within 11 minutes or less, according to the Department of Public Health data. DPH considers good wall time 20 minutes or less. But Dr. Bennett argues if a hospital enters diversion, it's because they absolutely need it. Still, it's unimaginable and difficult to comprehend the loss of Victoria, her family told us in a statement. Trial attorney Josh Schiffer.
We don't know exactly what happened here other than that the child was apparently diverted to a different healthcare facility because there wasn't enough emergency treatment available. But then that makes you ask the question, what's more basic than a drowning child when it comes to care availability?
Schiffer is not a part of this case, but the family has hired an attorney. Schiffer is a lawyer that successfully secured a civil verdict against a Georgia school.
It seems pretty difficult to sue a school district. Why?
It's virtually impossible to sue a school district in the state of Georgia, and it's actually written in our Constitution. If schools were forced to face a litany of lawsuits for every small or big complaint, they would waste enormous resources, and the business of schools educating our kids would never actually happen.
Not only does the sovereign immunity protection potentially complicate this case, but also recent changes in Georgia's liability law known as tort reform, he says. The new state measures redefine negligence and modify how damages are calculated in civil suits, potentially paving an uphill battle for accountability.
It's common for juries to react strongly at the death of a child. Good plaintiffs' lawyers know that regardless of the law, an emotional case involving the death needlessly of a child is very motivating for jurors, and jurors are going to use their power to affect the community at large. They're going to be empowered to do that with their verdict.
She's been in the pool for a while. We couldn't find her. It was a field trip.
Okay, so you guys lost a child?
Yes, they just lost. We just found her in the pool.
Sierra, you've done a lot of stories on EMS delays. What made you interested in this particular story and the problem you uncovered?
As you may remember, this was such a huge story the day that we initially reported on it. We heard from people in the comments of our social media, emailing it. It might sound like a cliche, but it was something that parents would be terrified of. You send your child on a school field trip and they ultimately don't come home. So many parents were like, you guys have got to figure out what happened in the interim. Ultimately, we received a tip, someone reaching out to us saying, I think there was something that happened with the EMS crews. You should look further into that. We got that tip to our entire investigative team, and I've reported, as you mentioned, a lot on EMS delays, so it really got my spidey senses tingling, and we started requesting documents. It wasn't easy to get some of these documents, and ultimately those documents from 911, those two-way transmissions between dispatch and the EMS crews, it really painted such a heartbreaking story, and we knew we had to tackle it. I was able to track down the family, and even though they weren't in this story, I talked to the dad and told him all the information we had before we went to air with it, and he was so grateful. He said, I've been wondering what happened. Thank you for helping us fill in some of the gaps.
Even when everything goes right, When seconds count, the ambulance is minutes away, which is why there is that law requiring AEDs in schools throughout Georgia. But there's no mention of school field trips, even though it's within the school day. What did the lawmakers say about this?
That's the interesting part about this. I wondered, why did it stop short of explicitly saying school field trips? Because we know students go on field trips across every grade level. So I talked to one of the sponsors on this bill, and he said it would be the hope to eventually require AEDs in the law, have it explicitly say off-campus school field trips. But at the time that this law was passed, they wanted to be reasonable about school funding. They knew that depending on if you were in a rural district, a smaller county, you might not have the equipment, let alone the money to staff buses or every single school field trip with an AED. So they wanted to move forward with that in mind. And we hope that in the future, things change, because we know an AED could potentially be life-saving.
Atlanta News First investigators are exposing wrongdoing, solving your problems, and helping your family make ends meet. Scan the code on your screen to subscribe to our newsletter and get every story sent straight to your inbox. A police chief caught trying to get one of his officers to downgrade a traffic ticket.
You got our old man pulled over.
Hey, just tell him that he owes us $3
Atlanta News First Investigates uncovers the moment that led to new policies for one police department.
A new policy for one police department after the chief is caught on camera trying to get a traffic ticket changed to a warning.
Atlanta News First Investigates obtained the video showing the Jefferson police chief saying he wanted something in return. A Jefferson police officer pulls over a pickup truck not knowing who was behind the wheel.
Good afternoon, I'm Officer Redmond, Jefferson Police Department. You got your license on your boss? Must be new. Say what? Must be new. Me? The reason I stopped you, you were on your cell phone back there at the light. They're getting off the interstate back there, all right? All right, sit tight for me.
The driver, Stacy Blanton, wasn't done with his phone. Records obtained by Atlanta News First Investigates show the driver immediately called the cell phone of Police Chief Stephen Bannister, while Officer Jordan Redmond was in the squad car running Blanton's license. Within a minute, the chief called Officer Redmond.
Yes, sir.
You got our old man pulled over.
Who's that?
Stacy Blanton.
Yeah, who is Mr. Blanton?
Run, the guy changes all up there quickly.
Yes, sir, I got him pulled over.
You mind riding him a warning?
I'm not sure.
He's butt. Don't get me wrong, he's been a butt when he gets us a heck of a deal to service our cars. We get it back through there and do everywhere else.
Officer Redmond pauses in silence for a moment, then...
All right.
Hey, just tell him that he owes us $3.
All right, then.
Will the officer really issue a warning instead of a ticket for the driver owing some free oil changes? The answer is no.
Hi, boss man. So I'm going to issue a citation today for your cell phone. You have two options. You have a court date on the front of your copy. You also got a what? Excuse me? Your chief just called? I spoke with my chief. So you have a court date on your copy. You also have a website and phone number. He didn't say anything to you. That is a private phone call, sir. I know. So your court date's going to be on the front. The website and phone number is going to be right here on the back for you.
City cell phone records show the driver immediately called the chief back. We don't know what was said in that 2-minute call, but Chief Bannister then dialed Officer Redmond's phone, a call that lasted 7 minutes. Here's the citation. Records show Blanton paid the $50 fine in September without admitting guilt.
You drive safely, sir.
3 weeks after the stop, the city manager issued this formal reprimand to the chief for inappropriate interference. Your actions directly violate the principles of operational integrity and impartial law enforcement, the city manager wrote, adding that the chief undermined the authority and discretion of the on-duty officer, created a perception of preferential treatment, and risked public confidence in the fairness and impartiality of the police department. The city manager called the chief's conduct unacceptable, but did not demote him or issue any punishment. The city manager ordered the chief to draft a new policy to prevent him and other officers from doing what he already did.
You mind writing him a warning? Just tell him that he owes us $3
The new policy memo is titled Prohibition on Request for Preferential Treatment Regarding Traffic Citations/Warnings, and it prevents officers from requesting that another officer issue a written warning in lieu of a formal citation. Officers are directed to decide on their own, fairly and without bias.
Brendan, that video, did you have a hard time getting that footage?
Well, it's open records, so we were able to get it, but it's knowing about it in the first place that it even exists. We did get an anonymous tip that the video existed, but also before we ever broadcast that video, it was published by the opposing candidate for mayor in Jefferson, and that campaign posted it. And then we did our story, 48 hours after that. What's fascinating about that is that mayor's race went down to 2 votes. The challenger, who had posted this video as part of the campaign, actually won the mayor's office, unseating the sitting mayor by only 2 votes. Came down to 2 ballots.
Wow, that is shocking. So we know the city manager issued that formal reprimand, but as I'm watching the story, I found myself asking, what effect does the reprimand actually have in all of this?
It turns out it had no effect on the career of this officer. Now, this officer, serving as interim chief, had been with the department for decades, all the way back to the 1980s. Very well known within the city, well liked, and a lot of people saw this as a one mistake, if you will. The reprimand included that admonition and requirement that the interim chief generate a policy so that others don't do what he did going forward. We know it didn't affect his career because one of the last acts of the outgoing mayor was to make him permanent chief. So that interim chief is now the permanent police chief in Jefferson, and also that was voted in by council. Whether the new mayor is going to change that, we'll see, but as of this point, that position went from interim to permanent after this story.
It's fair to say there are circumstances where maybe a police officer would want to do something to please their chief, and you see in this story that officer does not. Did you get a chance to talk with that officer?
No, not with the officer in particular. That officer went on to another agency and, doesn't want to talk about the case. We didn't really get a response, even reaching out directly by text message. Same thing with the driver, didn't want to talk to us. In fact, nobody would talk with us for this story, but the video speaks for itself. It is important to note that police officers issue warnings all the time. Anything sort of less than a felony, it's up to the discretion of the officer whether to issue a ticket or not, or to make an arrest, a misdemeanor like this. But when it's the chief asking, that changes things because it then has the effect of an order rather than a request.
Important work.
That tap to pay feature on your credit card, thieves are exploiting it. Atlanta News First investigates ghost tapping and what you need to do right now to protect yourself.
You're in line at the grocery store, someone stands a little too close and charges your credit card right through your purse.
It's called ghost tapping. Investigative reporter Anastasia Olmos exposes the in-person scam and the simple steps to stop it.
Fraud detectives often say that tap to pay is the best way to avoid skimmers, but criminals are getting their hands on more advanced technology, allowing them access to your money without ever touching your cards, your wallet, or your phone.
It's called ghost tapping. It takes advantage of the tap-to-pay model, which uses near-field communication, allowing devices to exchange data at close range. Criminals are using wireless devices as you're shopping near your phone or cards in places like crowded streets, buses, or a checkout line. The Better Business Bureau says they're seeing an uptick in these ghost tapping reports.
Here's some tips to protect yourself. First, you can invest in an RFID wallet. That's radio frequency identification. This sleeve fits right on your phone and protects any electromagnetic fields from reaching your phone or your cards.
Always confirm payment details. Make sure before you tap your card or phone that the merchant's name and amount are right. Set up transaction alerts on your phone to get real-time notifications for every charge so you can spot and stop any fraud immediately. And take a look at the safety settings on your phone. If you own an iPhone, for example, consider opting out of using Express Transit Card, which allows the use of a card without your passcode or Face ID.
And it is the season of giving, but be wary of any solicitors asking for donations with Tap to Pay. I'm Anastasia Olmos. Atlanta News First investigates.
You can listen to all of our extended conversations on these stories right now on our podcast, Behind the Investigation. You're watching Uncovered by Atlanta News First Investigates, a weekly hour-long investigative show with new episodes launching every Sunday at 7.